Hi, I'm Heather Legacy, licensed professional counselor, certified life coach, and author. I'm here with you today to share a handful of tips about healthy habits in relationships. One of the most amazing research findings is that people stay in relationships when they feel like they're getting a good deal. The ratio between the negative to positive is significant. We can handle one negative moment or one critical comment if we have 5 pleasant moments or 5 positive exchanges in a relationship just to balance. Why? Because negative weighs more than positive. It's the negative comment, the negative exchange that we review over and over in our mind because our mind is actually wired to solve problems. So in order just to keep the balance in a relationship, to feel like it is worth being involved in this relationship, we need to be mindful of contributing at least 5 positive comments or experiences so that we can recover from the one that is negative. Willard Harvey talks about exchanges in relationships like a bank account. He says that we are always going to be withdrawing from our bank account, so we need to make sure that we make deposits. That's a very helpful, common experience that we all have. We know we can't constantly take from our bank account and expect there to be anything left. So the same time, money, and energy that we spend on things that are important to us, those investments that we make, which we all do without thinking twice about our education, about our career building, about an acquisition of something that we've wanted, a house, a car, a boat. We don't really think about how much we invest to have those things. But we need to make that same connection to the deposits that we're making to build a relationship. We will all make withdrawals. There isn't a way that we're not going to disappoint everyone we know, and that everyone we know is going to disappoint us. But we need to make sure that those scales balance so that there are more positives than the negative, and we need to be building on that relation. Have a mentality that our contribution to that relationship is going to keep it going. It can't keep going unless we invest in it, just like we do anything else that's worthwhile. Gary Chapman has a book about 5 love languages. And what I really appreciate about that book is that there's an explanation about everyone's style and the way that they process love. We don't all experience love in the same ways. He describes 5 different ways that people experience love. One of them is recreational time. Just being able to be with that person doing something is a way that many people feel loved. Another way people feel loved is through gifts, being able to receive something. Maybe it's just a note, maybe it's a candy bar, maybe it's their favorite meal, but that feels like a gift to them. A third one is service. When you do a job for someone, when you take care of a project, when you complete something that has been unfinished. That gift of service, that service act, is a way that people feel loved. Another way that they feel loved is through physical touch. Some people have more of a need for affection than others, and a foot rub, a hug, getting their hair played with, an arm around you, those are ways that people feel tanked up, and they take in your love through affection. The last one is Affirmation. Some people, the way that they feel loved is when they know that there's something that you appreciate about their character or about something that they've done well or right, and they like hearing about it. So knowing that we don't all have the same exact love language means that we need to pay attention to when we give love in that particular way, what is that person's response? Do they have a minimal response or do they have a very big response? Some people really value that particular way of being loved. And we can begin to notice what ways somebody feels loved by just watching, observing their response. So that's a really healthy habit to notice how someone feels loved and then to give to them in that language. One of the biggest challenges between people in a close relationship, and all of these habits are about any relationship. It could be a parent-child relationship. It could be a friendship. It could be an intimate romantic relationship. It could be a relationship with a colleague, relationship with your neighbor. Any relationship follows these same healthy habits in order to thrive. So this next one is a little more subtle. It's being able to observe and hold regard for the space between two people. That means that the relationship is not codependent. It does not need for the other person to agree. It does not need for the other person to be similar. It does not need to cling to that person, but it can enjoy the space between that says we are connected, we are enjoying an exchange with one another, we are sharing, it's meaningful, but we are separate people. It's being able to honor the unique way of being of the other person and allowing there to be closeness and individuality so that we are connected but separate. That is never exact point that you reach. It's more like a flow. So if you can imagine that sometimes you have this opportunity to be very, very close and it feels significant and meaningful and very tight, and give space for breathing, give space for people to have their own opinions, have their own time, have their unique talents and skills and experiences, and then come together and share those. So it's being able to see that both separateness and connection are absolutely necessary to have both of those flow in order to maintain health in a relationship. Because there will be times that we won't get along, that there'll be conflict, we need to keep the perspective of reflecting back to somebody their worth as a human being rather than their limitations. There is no place in a healthy relationship for shaming and blaming. Those two are like poison to a relationship. Criticism, belittling, making someone feel like they are not worthy of your love is the most destructive thing we can do in a relationship. So the opposite of that is to be a generous giver, a gracious receiver, and to focus on what we appreciate about someone, their skill, their character quality, what they did right. The more that you can focus on who they are and what they do that you really value, the more you'll get of it. People like to be able to be successful in relationships. And when you tell them what they do right, what you value about them, then they'll do more of that because it helps them to expand. It helps them to feel that value, to be honored by you. When you don't like what someone says, make a respectful request. Ask them to do it right so that they can be successful. Would you please make a respectful request, not a demand and not diminishing who they are? That's a tricky one. But the more that we build people up, the more health and wealth there will be in that relationship. So lastly, I just want to share a quote. Her name is Erica Jong, and she says, "What happens when you take responsibility for your life? A terrible thing. No one else to blame." So I'm wishing for you health in your relationships, taking one of these healthy strategies at a time and allowing yourself to build your skills. Listen well and tell little. People don't really need our advice. The majority of the time, what they need is a compassionate witness. They have their own internal wisdom. They know what's best for them, and they alone live with the consequences of their choices. So, in a loving relationship, what we can offer is a place of refuge, of calm, of openness to exchanging ideas, to exchanging experiences, to exchanging the sense of community between us. It's a pause and a opportunity to enjoy another person rather than to think of molding them, changing them, correcting them. That's really not our role in any healthy relationship. In fact, even as a parent, if we would spend more time honoring and appreciating what your child brings, who they genuinely are, the more that they'll be able to blossom. It's like bringing the qualities of water and sunshine and light and air so that somebody can grow. I wish you well in your development of relationships, knowing that it is an investment opportunity that we're all given every day. And when we make a mistake, if we could own up to it, apologize, and make amends, we will always have an opportunity to get it right, and we will always get it wrong. So we need to recover well in our relationships, and being able to own our errors and try again really allows people to feel like it's a good enough relationship to maintain, to keep investing in. Be well and start investing in the relationships that you value most. Thank you for joining me today.